This is Chicago. At the dawn of the 21st century, Chicago's media was dominated by a handful of major corporations. But a resistance movement arose to free Chicago's media from their clutches. One player in this movement is the Chicago Independent Media Center and its TV show, Chicago Independent Television. The Independent Media Center is a worldwide network of grassroots correspondents committed to using the tools of the media for promoting social and economic justice. You are watching this month's dispatch from the Chicago Independent Media Center. Welcome to Chicago Independent Television, a collection of progressive video reports by grassroots media workers produced free from corporate or commercial support or influence. I'm your host, Yadira Correa. In this episode, we'll continue our coverage of the NATO summit and its protest response that took place in Chicago last May. We begin with a statement by Noam Chomsky on what it means to protest NATO. We then show a video from the front lines of the NATO protest where police clashed with protesters. We finish the show with a series of statements from a post-NATO summit press conference. Stay with us.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by McDonald's. Environmental destruction, unhealthy food, low wages, and repressed labor rights. And lawsuits against people who talk about it. Learn more at mclibel.org. McDonald's. I'm not loving it.
Mr. Bishop, I want to use this picture on the front page of our next issue.
Oh, come now, Nancy. We can't print a picture like that. Paper is read by people all over the city. Just think what a picture like that would do to the reputation of our newspaper.
I don't think we should hide things just because they're unpleasant. How do we stop things like this if we don't let the people know they're happening?
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. Last May, tens of thousands of protesters hit the streets in response to the NATO summit being held in Chicago. Just before the summit, the Chicago Independent Media Center solicited a statement from the esteemed professor Noam Chomsky on the significance of protesting NATO. This was his response.
Well, as you know, NATO was established in order to protect Western Europe and the world from the rampaging Russian hordes who were seeking to conquer everything. In 1990, the Russian hordes disappeared, so an obvious question is what happened to NATO? Well, anyone who believed the propaganda of the preceding decades would have concluded that NATO should be disbanded. In fact, what happened is NATO was extended. It was very quickly extended to the east, towards Russia, in violation of pledges to Gorbachev, who had agreed to allow a reunified Germany to join a hostile military alliance on condition that NATO not expand 1 inch to the east. That was the promise given to him by the George Bush, James Baker administration. They immediately extended it to the east. Clinton went farther. Gorbachev, of course, complained. He was then informed that it had only been a verbal pledge, and if he was naive enough to assume that Bush and Baker would stand up to a gentleman's agreement, well, that's his problem. By now, NATO has been expanded farther. It's become a global international intervention force under U.S. command. Its official commitment is to defend the global energy system. Defend means and control it, including pipelines and sea lanes. That makes it essentially unlimited. So a protest against NATO is, in fact, a protest against the vast global military machine, which has, of course, no counterpart anywhere, and the prospect of endless war, destruction, possibly nuclear war. And for those who are protesting, an extra benefit is that they can join the Bradley Manning contingent, which will be joining in the protests at Chicago.
I'm Jerry Boyle of the National Lawyers Guild, and you're watching Chicago Independent Television.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by AT&T, the company lobbying hard to destroy network neutrality and public access television. Learn more at SaveTheInternet.com. AT&T, your world degraded.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. The NATO summit that took place in Chicago last May wrapped up on Sunday, May 20th, 2012. On that final day of the summit, police confronted protesters. Here is a video from the front lines of that march.
Must disperse to the west. Attention! Attention! Yes, I hear you. Attention!
You're choking him! You're choking him! Oh, come on! Oh, come on! Let him get up! Let him get up! We're trying to move back! We're trying to move back! Get off! Get that officer down! Get that officer down! Olsen! 6325! Officer 6325! 305! 6380! 6383! There's a 83! Hey! What the hell? We're pressed! Get the whip out! We're pressed! Retard! Lieutenant Ryan! Have the baton out! Push! Back! Hey! Watch it, dude! I'm fucking pressed! I'm trying! WBEZ is being... They're shoving press around! Do not press 6325! Get up! I'm trying to get you out. Here's a hole. They're shoving press. Legal. Pushing you back in. I'm sorry. Gregory 9960. Orlando 12756. All right. Nothing. Call me a journalist. How many times are we gonna let these cops beat us until we say enough? How many times are we gonna get a Billy Club to the head until we say enough? Why are we gonna stand up against this fire?
Hi, I'm Vermin Supreme, and whenever I'm watching some sort of moving images on a screen, it's indie media for sure.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by Walmart. There's a reason we're the world's most profitable corporation. We pay our employees peanuts. Learn more at walmartwatch.com. Walmart. Always low wages, always.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. Just after last May's NATO summit wrapped up, Chicago activists held a press conference. Here is a statement from protester Maria Pizarro.
First of all, Obama said to us in 2008 a hope. In 2012, we don't have a hope, we have a joke. Obama is the first president that deports immigrants more than any president of the United States. In this moment, we cannot keep silence. The problem that we have here, human needs, they are not important any longer. They are important the profit. United States is the one that provides more money to the NATO. We have a 60% of the general budget mainly for the army. And we cannot tolerate any longer. Here in Chicago, they are closing a school. They are closing mental health organization. They are not important the human needs. They are important mainly the profit. They are considered all of our needs, education, health, as a merchandise, as a mercantile. We are not important any longer for them. The only way that we can defeat the 1% is try to create a unity between the different forces in order to defeat war, poverty, and the war.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by Coca-Cola, whose logo is stained red by the blood of murdered Colombian labor union organizers. Learn more at killercoke.org. Coke, the drink of the death squads.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. Next, we'll hear a statement from veteran activist Chris Giovannis that she gave at the post-NATO summit press conference.
We condemn the police violence yesterday. Police violence that has left a number of protesters seriously injured. And in one instance, the protester who was run over by the police van has not only been hospitalized, but he has been disappeared by law enforcement. Disappeared in this country. The people of Chicago and the people who have come to protest NATO from outside of Chicago are getting just a small taste of the kind of violence, repression, degradation, and assault that people on the pointy end of the NATO military stick suffer every single day wherever NATO is active. That's a fact. The bottom line here is that there is one set of individuals and one set of individuals only that is responsible for yesterday's violence, and that is the Obama administration and the Emanuel administration. They took responsibility for policing this, and their response yesterday to peaceful protesters in a boisterous and spirited march through the city was basically to bring out the billy clubs, the bludgeons, and every other weapon at their hands, including their own vehicles, to suppress peaceful protest. This is a predictable culmination from the policy of the Obama administration and the Emanuel administration to do everything they can to thwart any peaceful, organized expression in opposition to NATO. We have struggled for months with groups across the city and across the nation just to get permits to get within sight and sound of these delegates and the warmongers that they represent. We have yet to attain that goal. They will not allow veterans of the U.S. military, the people that they send out literally on the ground to do their bidding, to open up these invaded and oppressed foreign lands to resource extraction and economic predation by the 1% elites that they represent. They will not even allow the veterans that they push onto the front lines for their narrow, blood-sucking economic agenda to get within sight and sound of these NATO delegations, to get within sight and sound of the president of our country, the country that is first and foremost the largest player in the NATO war machine.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by Blackwater, a worldwide leader in security and murder. Learn more at blackwaterbook.com. Blackwater, we kill innocent Iraqis so that you can feel more secure.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. Hatem Abudeya of the U.S.-Palestinian Network also spoke at the post-NATO summit press conference. This is what he had to say.
Israel is not an official member of NATO, but NATO supports Israel with arms and training as Israel continues its illegal occupation of Palestinian land, the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and Jerusalem. So we're here in support of the tens of thousands that will be marching with us. We're in a contingent with the Puerto Ricans and the Filipinos from across the country, what we're calling our National Liberation Contingent. And I am also one of the people whose home was raided in September of 2010 by the FBI. I'm one of 24 people around the country, mostly in the Midwest, many of us Palestinians who are under investigation. And the U.S. government is trying to stop us from speaking out in support of our sisters and brothers who are fighting a legitimate struggle for their freedom and their right of return to the homes and lands from which they were exiled. We will not be quieted. We will not allow this repression and the same repression of us as activists here that was just described to you, and those of us who are under this investigation, is the repression that is wielded against the Palestinian people every single day by the Israeli government, with support, unequivocal support from the U.S. government. That's what we're here to condemn. We're here to condemn that NATO war agenda that is supporting that repression and that oppression. And we're here to say that we will not be quiet, we will not be silenced. All of these tens of thousands that will be out here today, and the millions across the world who are supporting us in support of Palestinian liberation and freedom, and the liberation and freedom of all oppressed people across the world.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. Nellie Wahlberg of Occupy Chicago also spoke at the post-NATO summit press conference. This is her statement.
I was at State in Washington when the police riot began, when the cops reared their bikes up, shoved them into the bodies, into the faces of peaceful protesters. This violence won't stand. This is violence just like that is exhibited at NATO. Mayor 1% Rahm Emanuel brought them here. He is responsible for the blood of the protesters in the streets. I personally was hit by a cop who reared his bike back and assaulted me with the front tire of his bike. He was wielding it like a club. I watched my friends, my fellow occupiers, who stand together in non-violent, peaceful protest. I watched them get hit with clubs, with the collapsible batons, with fists. I watched them be arrested. And then I watched the police van accelerate through the crowd of peaceful protesters. I tried to stop it. I was on the hood of the van trying to hold it back so people behind me could get out of the way, and I felt the acceleration of the engine as it roared through the crowd, crushing that person who was also arrested and possibly disappeared. This sort of violence is typically predictable of a state and a country that won't let us organize or peacefully demonstrate against this war and death machine of NATO that no one in Chicago wants here.
I am a soldier who survived the fear of facing Uncle Sam and saying, "Sir, no sir. I won't fight for lies. Forgive me, wounded soldier, for not being there to ease your pain. I'll try on this end to bring you home now."
Are you an intelligent, free-thinking individual? Do you have rational and well-researched opinions on any of the following subjects? Does your global outlook not fit into one of two preconceived and oversimplified categories? If so, you may have a problem. But don't worry, the solution is only one click away. It's called the mainstream media. If consumed on a daily basis, the mainstream media can help significantly reduce the symptoms caused by individuality and autonomy. For years, millions of people around the world have been trusting the mainstream media to help relieve the pain and suffering caused by thinking about stuff. Millions of tests have proven it. This is John before he began consuming the mainstream media. Whether we like it or not, every aspect of our daily lives will be in some way affected by peak oil. It's unavoidable. And this is John after only 30 days of treatment. I sincerely believe that Britney Spears is not fit to have custody of her children. Kevin has repeatedly proven himself to be a much better parent. Say goodbye to complex questions and intelligent debates, and say hello to Timberlake, Hilton, and terrorists. So much terror, you'll be terrified. Don't live another day without it. Ask your doctor or government about it. The mainstream media. The mainstream media, because you're not paid to think. We're paid to do it for you.
Side effects may include a zombie-like existence, belief in fairy tales, and willful submission of constitutional rights. Results may vary.
Brought to you by people who have much more power than you do, making the world a better place. For us.
You've been watching Chicago Independent Television, a project of the Chicago Independent Media Center Video Collective. The Independent Media Center is a growing worldwide network of media producers, journalists, citizens, and activists, working to put the media in the hands of everyday people and away from corporate and commercial interests. To learn more, visit our website at chicago.indiemedia.org. There you can find out about upcoming Chicago area events and how to get involved in making your own media, including how to help make this very TV show. Thanks for watching. See you next time.